Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And boy, New York City is back in the news. I know it's probably one or two of the largest cities in America. It's a melting pot for all kinds of people that live there. And some people consider New York City to be the heartbeat of America. However, I believe Chicago, Illinois is the heartbeat of America and its melting pot. But we have this big time nurses strike that's going into its 10th day. Its 10th day. And I want to give a shout out to nurses and our hospital and medical systems. We have to realize that in order to have a sustainable city or society or community, you have to have certain pillars that are there for the citizens to be able to utilize. So what am I talking about? You need a healthy fire department. You need healthy government agencies, mayoral's office, aldermen. You need a healthy public safety, police force. We need healthy schools. We need great teachers. You need great, healthy, clean grocery stores. And of course, we need healthy banks, and you need a healthy medical system and hospitals. And who are the building block or the nucleus or the engine for a hospital to run? I think it's nurses, not doctors. If you look at the entire paradigm of a hospital, you have administrators, you have technology folks, you have nurses, and you have doctors. And what you'll find in many of your hospitals is that 90% of those ancillary or those staffing positions or the people that make the hospital go, two qualifiers. One is 80% of them are women, and the majority of the employees are nurses. Your doctors actually measure up to a small segment of the hospital. So most of the people are women and nurses. And you have some great nurses out there that even train doctors who graduated from medical school and starting their residency. Many of these nurses are the ones that are helping training these cardiothoracic surgeons. So you got cardiac nurses, ICU nurses, intensive care nurses. You have floor nurses. You have, OBGYN nurses. You have nurse anesthesia, nurse anesthetists, who put people to sleep and work with the anesthesiologist. So you got all these different kinds of nurses, nurse practitioners that play a pivotal part in our entire medical paradigm in our hospitals. And I think they're underpaid and underappreciated. If we can pay a cardiothoracic surgeon $800,000 to $1 million a year, I think that cardiac nurse should be making at least $150,000 in her pay. They work directly with those surgeons. Those surgeons can't do those operations alone. Even your orthopedic nurses, any of your surgical specialties, you have a nurse who subspecializes in those areas just like the doctors, and they're needed. But you got this huge strike, and these nurses in New York City are the largest city in America. They feel unappreciated and disrespected, so they have gone on strike. And I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, the nurses went on strike and it lasted maybe 3 to 5 days. But this strike is going into its 10th day in the beginning of the year of 2026. So let's find out what's going on. It says New York City nurses strike reaches 10th day as negotiations stall. The historic strike among New York City's nurses has entered into its second week after nearly 15,000 nurses walked off the job about 10 days ago on a Monday. Nurses at New York Presbyterian, Mount Sinai, and Montefiore are asking for higher pay and an increase in staff to manage patients A lot of these hospitals are understaffed, just like our fire department, the understaffing of our police force. These nurses are unappreciated and underpaid, and I put it in the same alignment with our teachers. There would be no doctors, no football players, no lawyers without teachers. So they're asking for higher pay, an increase in staff to manage patients, a fully funded benefits package, and better workplace protections against violence for its members. They're saying as tensions escalate between the private hospitals and thousands of their employees, negotiations are stalled after they got underway last Thursday and Friday. Until they can get back away from their reckless and dangerous $3.6 billion demands, progress overall will not be possible. That's what the Montefiore Hospital spokesperson said about the nurses going on strike. In the meantime, we continue to provide the world-class care our communities deserve. On Monday, striking nurses raised their voices again while giving back at the city-run George Washington Carver houses to provide free community health screening. So they're still doing something to help the community. Many people go into nursing because it is a calling. It's not about the money. It's about helping people. Just in alignment, the same as with teachers. Teachers don't go, nobody goes into being a middle school teacher, a grammar school teacher, a high school teacher because of the pay. It's because of their passion. And we need more of that. He said they offered health education and blood pressure testing for anyone brave enough to sit in the cold for a stretch. It was their way to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who advocated for both racial and economic justice. Reverend Al Sharpton also planned to join the nurses at the picketing line at Mount Sinai, Morningside. All of the hospitals impacted by the strike have stressed that they will remain open, but they are scaling back on non-emergency surgeries. While nurses remain away from their patients, operations continue with the help of traveling nurses securing the hospitals. So we still have traveling nurses that are paid per diem, and they're coming in and helping, but we're talking about 15,000 nurses in New York City. That is going to make there a certain fragility in our healthcare system in New York. And guess who is going to be the ultimate people to suffer? The patients, the tax-paying citizens of New York City. So also in this, since it's brought national controversy and even political and economic effects behind it, you have the New York City mayor, newly elected mayor Zohran Mandani, and Senator Bernie Sanders, who have joined the striking nurses in this bitter cold on Tuesday. There is still no deal on the table as thousands of nurses brave the cold to fight for a new contract, with negotiations at a complete standstill. Senator Sanders joined Mayor Mandani, who brought boxes of donuts to striking nurses outside Mount Sinai West. The two Democratic socialists took a stand for organized labor in the nation's largest city as hundreds and even thousands of strikers erupted in cheers on 10th Avenue. They go on to say that the people of this country are sick and tired of the greed in the healthcare industry, Senator Sanders said. They're tired of the drug companies ripping us off, the insurance companies ripping us off, paying hospital executives, getting huge salaries. So even your hospital executives, your CEO, your CFO, many of them who are not physicians, who are accountants, MBAs, lawyers, they're making tens of millions of dollars running these hospitals, and it's hard for a nurse to even make $100,000 without working extemporaneous overtime. Talks at the bargaining table last week did not end with a positive resolution, and a finish line doesn't appear to be in view. And here again, as you listen to this, who is ultimately going to suffer? The patient. Too often when we see a strike, people forget that there is not enough where workers want to be, Mayor Mandani said. A strike is an act of last resort. What workers want is to be back at work. So what will this mean in making that possible? And so we call on every side to come back to the negotiating table, have a swift and urgent resolution to this problem. Since the walkout last week, negotiators have met just once, and talks remain at an impasse on every major issue, from wages and on-the-job security to working conditions and staffing levels. Remember, there's a shortage of nurses. It's understaffing, overworked, and underpaid. Tension is growing on the picket line. A similar strike 3 years ago lasted just 3 days. The hospitals are hiring freelance nurses known as traveling nurses, and management claims essential operations have continued. But striking nurses and their supporters remain defiant. No nurse should fear for their safety while caring for others, one nurse said. We are not asking for the impossible. We're asking for safe staffing, expert security, and a fair contract. Hospital systems have called nurses' demands both dangerous and reckless. This is what the hospital management or executive teams are saying at these hospitals, saying there were nurses over the weekend picketing outside the homes of hospital executives. They're making a killing, the hospital executives. Mount Sinai released a statement on Monday night saying to ensure ongoing high-quality care, we have made additional commitments to working with our agency nurses as we settle into a long-term cadence. It will become more difficult to add Mount Sinai nurses not already working into the schedule without advance notice. So they're trying to get some backups with these traveling nurses. But that's a strain. You're going to be pulling people from other cities, flying in for 3 or 4 days, working, leaving. The checks and balances of all of that is going to be complicated and not easy. I think these high-paid executives at these hospitals, at these insurance companies, should coagulate and realize the nurses are the nurses are the heartbeat of your healthcare system. There are way more nurses than doctors. And they assist in every ancillary service in the medical system, and they need to be appreciated and they need to be paid at an equal scale. It's not ironic that this strike is taking place in the same city that over a year ago you had that young man who shot and killed the United Healthcare CEO at 5 o'clock in the morning in Manhattan. I'm not saying it's justifiable, and it's an alleged assassination, but there are many people. Patients are fed up, doctors are fed up and overworked, nurses are definitely overworked and underpaid and fed up, and we have to make sure, in order to have a healthy society, to have a healthy medical system.